Today on JCTV, Mid-Missouri Art News, we have artist Damon Freed and wood-burning artist Bill Molendorf. Welcome to JCTV, Mid-Missouri Art News, supported by many art enthusiasts, art lovers throughout the nation. We're coming to you from the capital city of Jefferson City, Missouri. I'm your host, Rick Jey, with two special guests today. First, if you'll join me in welcoming artist Damon Freed from Sedalia, Missouri to the round table. Mr. Freed, welcome to Mid-Missouri Art News.
Hi, Rick. Pleased to be here. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
As have I.
Well, Damon, if I may call you by your first name,
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about you and those highlights of your life that best describe Damon Freed?
Thank you, Rick. I'll start with State Fair Community College, the campus there. That is where I began my schooling, my career, essentially.
I see.
I decided to become an artist shortly thereafter, and the full-fledged decision to become an artist was made at that time.
I see.
And I was under the tutelage of my father there and Paul Allen.
And Paul Allen. And your father?
Yes, Douglas Freed is his name, and I've been watching my dad as a child. I grew up playing in his studio there with my sister and brothers, and it was a fabulous experience, carefree and loving.
Excellent.
The environment.
Well, that would be my next question, Damon. Can you share with us really how you was first inspired to become an artist and what continues you to continue your inspiration?
Yes, thank you for the question. I tell you, at State Fair Community College, I was surrounded by a lot was happening, a lot was going on there. And it was a loose spirit mentality. And what I mean by that, Rick, is that at the college, it was open to creativity, to creation of all sorts. There was ceramics there. There was paintings going on, paintings happening, sculpture, and drawing, and printmaking. And people were good at it.
My visits with you at the college and visiting different ones there, it is a free spirit field.
I was an instructor there for a time. I am no longer teaching, but at UCM or at State Fair Community, or at the college there.
Oh,
so.
Excellent. So you're probably concentrating more on your art, as from what I can see nowadays. So that's excellent.
That's the plan.
Well, do you have any projects or upcoming exhibits now in process you'd like to bring to our viewers' attention they might see firsthand? Then I want to talk about some of your work.
In November, Rick, I have an opening at the Hayden Galleries in Sedalia, Missouri, my hometown, and that's where I live, that's where I reside, and the title of the exhibition, I'm calling it Piss and Vinegar. And the reason for that is that those paintings were kind of made with an angst. And the paintings that I would like to show in that exhibition, quite angsty, but that was their process, that was their production, the way they were made in the studio. And rather quickly, but in multiple layers.
Oh, I see.
So different shots, different settings.
I see.
I would return to the paintings. I would paint a little bit, etc.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
so-
Now, you have a gallery, you work in a studio, shall we say. You share with your father, Mr. Doug Freed, there in Sedalia.
Yes, we do share the space, and I am on the far end, and he is nestled there in the back of the studio. You know, all the necessities are there for us.
Well, we have a piece behind you somewhat.
And an abundance of light as well.
An abundance of
Great
light.
northern exposure in
Yes,
his
that
studio
northern
there.
light
So, yeah.
is a must. I do remember visiting the gallery,
It's a beautiful
shop.
space.
It
yes.
is a great space.
Thank you. That was a good visit.
That's great. Now, what type of art would you describe these pieces that we'll be sharing with the viewers here on the timeline? Your should we say, your forte or your theme? You're dealing with colors,
It's a different-
shapes, geometrics.
Yes. I think you're, color, shape, form is the central motif to those works, if I can call it a motif.
I see.
I think they're non-objective abstractions. So if I were to say that all art is abstract, because an abstraction of reality in some way, we all have different methods and different processes,
Yes.
right? How to arrive at an image. For instance, there's let's say 3 categories to make it simple.
Okay.
In my thinking, non-objectivity, which just means no objects, no real world presence in terms of things
I see.
to be seen in the painting. And then realism, which is the interpretation of life through perhaps observation of nature or cities or what have you. And then there's that vast area in between, such as, which I just refer to as abstraction.
Abstraction. So it's kind of an abstraction foundation somewhat, but yet what I'm getting at, Damon, is that every artist has a reasoning behind their art, and that usually comes from the heart.
Color.
And color, yes. So you see art like a lady that'll be scheduled for the show in 2020. She sees art through music, color.
Wow. Synesthesia,
Yes,
perhaps.
exactly. There's a psychological term for it. So she listens to the song and she then breaks that down into colors and schemes or format.
I have had that experience in life. I can't say that it's something I play off of in my own personal work. Now, that's not entirely true. I do listen to music at times when I paint, less these days, but the amplitude of the music, the sound, so the higher pitch, the higher the pitch, the more towards yellow.
I see.
You
So you do have some of that.
I do, yes.
Well, that's cool. That's why I look at your artwork, and as we'll share on the timeline, and I thought, well, this is similar. I'm just wondering if you are
Kandinsky,
inspired somewhat.
that there's a long history of that.
Okay.
So in abstraction, in
see.
abstract art, in art, and Wassily Kandinsky, I'd say around 1920, wrote on the spiritual in art, and he also wrote from point to plane, da 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 da. I can't from line to point to plane, something like that. It's been a while since I've read it.
Well, that's great to
I don't know if I read the entire thing, but I was more fascinated with his spirituality of things. But I tell you, he talks about color in regard to music, and some of it. It's hard for me to remember. It's like a tomb. But I tell you, it does fascinate me. So it will be interesting to watch her program with you.
Yes, and you might even begin considering more music into the interpretation than your work. Maybe it'll free you up a little bit.
I need the quiet, though.
Oh, you need the quiet.
I do. In order to focus, in order to concentrate.
I have the same thing. I love to play music, but when it gets down to my detail in my paintings, I have to have that quietness to really let the brain, I guess, function.
To keep things in order,
Yes,
and,
to keep things
right? And it makes sense, yes. to me.
Well, let me ask you this now. Do you have a
It's a beautiful
website
piece.
that you promote your works on?
I do. It's
Contact
I
information
do.
you'd like to share with us?
My website is damonfried.com. So that's just www.damonfried.com.
And people can reach you at the studio, I understand.
They can. My hours are typically 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. I take a lunch break, but pretty regular that way these days. And yeah, so that's.
Well, I'd like to go ahead and ask you. I've done some research, my homework,
Some pieces there.
and some pieces that we'll identify along. If you can tell
The
us
artwork?
just a tidbit in the remaining about 60 seconds, maybe 2 minutes, we can stretch it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the first piece, Freed Color Model. Can you?
So that is a color model that I have developed based on prior color models.
I see.
Yes. So I believe there was one. I'm not going to remember the exact details of the one that I built mine off of, but it was essentially served as an image that made sense, that resonated with me.
With you, your own
So
color wheel.
their color model, yes, correct.
Yeah, I have the same at
So,
home.
so I did. Oh, you do?
I basically developed my own,
Wonderful.
those colors that I know how to mix. And
I'd love to see that sometime.
Oh,
See it
okay.
sometime. Yeah.
super, I'll have to share that with you. Now, running along,
Yes.
Zero Game. What's up with
Yes,
the
Zero Game. Kazimir Malevich was a Russian artist, avant-garde artist in the 20th century, who created a piece entitled Black Square.
I see.
And it was one of the first, if not the, well, it was the first black square.
I see.
Just a black square, non-objective.
Now, your tertiary
Yeah.
spectrum, number 2 speaks of black.
Tertiary, yes.
Tertiary, okay.
Uh-huh.
Thanks for the
Yeah,
explanation.
you're welcome.
And I'm going to run through just a couple here.
Okay.
Neutral browns, the tertiary.
The neutral browns fascinate me. That comes out of thinking about color in a more naturalistic way.
Right.
So I have added earth tones
Oh, yes.
to the achromatic values of white, black, and gray, meaning just achromatic for viewers means no color.
Oh, I
That's
see.
all.
Okay. And the last two, the psychology of color, the behavioral color wheel.
So this is the psychology of color, number 2.
Okay.
This is the second piece that I created for my terminology, which is in my book, The Correspondence of Color, first edition. This is the book here, Jerry.
Oh, so you do have the book. Yeah.
You can see the similarity in the design.
Yes.
Nicholas Lavolsi is my designer. We are working.
Oh,
it's a project of ours.
And those are available?
They are
online?
available. The first edition. Let's wait for the second edition
Oh, okay, great.
because it's in the works.
We'll have to get you back and then talk about your books.
That would be fantastic.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Fried,
Thank you, Jay.
on behalf of
Thank you.
JCTV, Mid-Missouri Art News, we just don't have enough time. We'll, like I say,
But
invite you back.
yeah.
Closing words then.
This is my life story through artwork. So it is pronounced Twinism. It is also a book. You may find that on lulu.com.
Oh, excellent. I'm glad we made sure we got that
Thank
in.
you.
Thanks for jumping in on that and
Thank you, Rick.
taking care of it. So again, thank you so much, Damon, for being here. And
You're welcome.
I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
be right back with more from wood burning artist, Mr. Bill Molendorf. Stay with us.
You're really not that talented.
You're not attractive.
Too fat.
You're too short.
Too old? Why don't you just give up?
Give up.
Give up.
Just give up.
You're really not that.
Welcome back to JCTV Mid-Missouri Art News. Please join me now in welcoming Mr. Bill Molendorf of Hartsburg, Missouri. Welcome, Bill, or Mr. Molendorf.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks for the invitation. I really
Yes.
appreciate it.
I've been looking forward to this for a long
Thanks.
time, as all my guests, definitely. Well, if I may call you Bill, you know, 15 minutes is not really a long enough time to cover everything and share what makes up your art world in this wood burning craft that you have, artistic feel of with wood burning. It's just remarkable, and they're so awesome. You come to the round table as the wood burning artist, first actually on Mid-Missouri Art News, and we met, I guess, at the Jim Dyke studio one Saturday morning recently at a Saturday morning coffee in Jefferson City, Missouri, and I was impressed at your wood burning art skills as you're sharing with us at the moment.
That's right.
Bill, would you tell us a little bit about Bill Molendorf, or should I call you the Honorable now, since you are the mayor of
Hartsburg.
Hartsburg.
And that's where I currently live. I'm from northern Iowa originally,
I see.
and went to school in Kirksville at NMSU,
Oh, I see.
and just kept moving south because it's nicer down here. Anyway, it was after college that I got into art more.
I see.
And I had one of my best friends, a photographer. I learned a lot of photography from him.
I see.
And then I darkroom, and so a lot of these are based on some of my darkroom or my pictures that I've
I
taken.
see.
And from there I got into, I call it photographic etching
I see.
in ink.
Well, now, do you have family you would like to say a shout out to?
I have family in Troy, Missouri,
Okay.
and
great.
hello to them and all my friends in Hartsburg.
Excellent. And I would ask you now to, was it first inspired in art or photography? Was it an individual or in schooling, or is just something that, like a lot of us, starts out at 3 or 4 years old and it continues through life?
I've always liked to doodle, and I love wood, I always have. But it was after college and through a friend of mine, as I said, in photography, that I really became interested, and I needed a pastime.
I see.
And that's when pastime became an endeavor.
Oh, yes, and like I say, they're awesome. We'll be sharing more on the timeline here, and as we hold some up and describe some of these in a moment. Well, can you share since you're the first wood-burning artist on the program, can you share with our viewers basically what skills go into some of your projects, especially your completed projects that you've brought with us? Is there, I'm sure there's a certain maybe wood burning point that you use, and covering with a gloss, I see.
Yes. It's all been started in, as a matter of fact, just practice, of course.
Sure.
And what I like, I really don't have any special tools. I use the word burner like I had when I was a kid.
It's not the old soldering gun, though. It's a word burner.
Similar.
Similar.
Yeah, yeah, very much.
I see.
And so I think after I got the idea of doing this kind of work, then I became more interested in the types of wood I was using
Oh, I see.
to bring out the grains.
And what's your favorite wood to work with?
Well, this one is just basic pine. And what I liked about pine is that after
And
you,
that is the, what do you call this?
this is, I call it abandoned three windows. It was an old farmhouse in Speed, Missouri.
I see.
And took a picture of it. And I think what I wanted to get in here, Rick, was I wanted to get the picture so I was curious enough to look in those windows.
Oh, I see.
I wanted it
just
to-
a glimpse into
Yes.
the windows.
Yeah.
Now, the piece beside you and the piece behind you, we're looking at the piece behind you on the easel is an old house in an abandoned town now in Missouri, I believe you described.
Right.
Can you tell us what goes into the theme of this painting?
I got this idea when I was bicycling on my bicycle. I loved to bicycle. And I went through this town of Shamrock. I think it's in Audrain County.
I see.
And the store and the house are close together, but not as, I just put them together in the piece. And of the other towns I've done similarly, Shamrock, and I'll think of the name of another town, but they're wide spots in the road. They're, as I biked along, they have the road sign that says Shamrock, and then there were two vacant or abandoned
And we
buildings
see a
there.
lot of that now.
Yes, we
as
do.
The 21st century is upon us, and a lot of things are falling in the wayside. A lot of businesses, a lot of even now. So yes, that's very interesting. Now the piece to your left, it has a little bit of different colorization. Do you control the temperature to get that colorization?
I think this is because of the wood.
The wood. I
In
see.
pine, you have some of the pine oil, still the residue of
Right.
it. And if I hold the burner down to it, it takes on that reddish color.
Oh, I see.
This is more, I think it's basswood. And so it's, and I really like it. It's easy to burn on, and it has a light background so that it shows up the wood burn.
Now the,
And then you get all these fun,
looks like clouds.
Yeah.
Yes, very good, very. So it takes imagination, even with wood, where you have some elements already to work with. I see in the grain and the cloud effect on both the painting behind you and one to your left.
Yes.
Now the one on your, on your right, the one on your left, now this is a barn, and where so many people are into barns. Would you want to hold that up and
Yes.
kind of give us an idea of that one?
and this is a barn in the Hartsburg River Bottoms. And I call it the most photographed barn in Boone County. I've seen this on a lot of shows. And it's right outside my door, so I decided to do it.
Excellent, excellent.
And a lot of buildings I do have historical backgrounds, but many people like the agriculture scenes and barns, so that's what I did.
Yes, awesome, awesome. Now the piece in front of that, would you like to, that looks like a train station or something.
It was, and this was in Hartsburg at the Katy Trail. It was the depot, and it is, the building is still around, though not in Hartsburg. But I think the depot left Hartsburg in 1984, 85, something like that.
Excellent, and this looks to be boarded up at that point.
Yes,
But you've
and
captured
still
the,
is.
the brick.
Yeah.
It's an excellent piece. I love the wood burning effect. And share with us the plate of, that looks like grapes and wine.
Yeah,
That's,
Hartsburg has a vineyard, up, I call it up the hill, and I just one day sat down and decided to do a vineyard.
beautiful. Now, what kind of wood is that?
This is also pine, I
It's
believe.
pine. It has a different effect.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. Now, you have a coating for preservation. What do you like to use for a finish?
This is just a lacquer.
A lacquer, clear lacquer.
Yep.
I see.
And I like the gloss. It makes the wood grain and the detail of the wood burning, I think, kind of pop out a little bit.
Yes, I can see that.
And I
Now-
got that idea of the lacquer from an artist friend of mine who told me you should try this. Thank
great.
you, Julie Smallwood.
Julie Smulling. We want to thank those that help us along.
That's exactly right.
And speaking of help us along the way, we both speak of Jim Dyke and visit him quite often at
Yes.
his studio, especially at the Saturday morning coffees now. Now, do you have any artwork with Jim at his location? at this
No,
time?
I may sometime. The framing, anything I have framed is all done at Cotton Stone Gallery
Yes. Oh, they do
because
an
just so
excellent job.
professional, so
Excellent.
well done.
Yes. So do you have any shows where the people can come and see for themselves? Like I'm viewing these beautiful pieces. Do you have anything planned for show or exhibit here in the
I
future?
hope to do something like that in Hartsburg. But currently, my home, I own a caboose in Hartsburg.
Yes, I was going to bring the
And
caboose
so
up next.
I'm easy to find in a little town of 103. And I have my own gallery in my house.
Excellent.
And people are free to stop there and say, can I
Now,
look at the caboose?
Can you? Oh yes, stop at the caboose. So your
Yes.
house is close to the caboose.
Yes. Yeah.
So to get in touch with you and ask for a viewing, do you have a phone number or
I do.
email or something
I
you'd
do.
like to share?
I have both. I am. My email is Molendorp B, MOLENDORPB @gmail.com.
Excellent.
And I love to text. So if you love to text, I'm available at 573-289-7544.
Oh, excellent. That's good to know. A lot of the artists will be, I'm sure, in touch just to ask questions and follow up from the program. Let's see. I would like to ask you. You basically started out just becoming something to do. Do you have any ideas or suggestions to someone who wants to begin an interest in art? Some say, well, I can't draw, I can't paint, but it doesn't sound like you had any formal training. So I guess you would encourage anyone.
Yes.
And can you describe what you get out of your artwork as far as the inner feelings or what have you?
Yes. For instance, when I did this, it's entitled Grandpa's Barns.
Yes.
And my grandfather, Huseman, built the barns. They no longer stand. But I think what I got out of it is initially after it's done, I go, oh, wow, this is good.
Yes.
This I really like. And then when I hear other people say, hey, that's all right, that's
And
good.
it touches your heart and other
I'm like,
people's heart. And that's our success story as an artist. People feel what we feel, I think.
Yeah, yes, very
Well,
much, Rick.
Bill, we're just about out of time. So on behalf of the JCTV Mid-Missouri Art News, which is attempting to bring together all art lovers and enthusiasts in Missouri and surrounding states through this program, I want to thank you again so much for contributing to Mid-Missouri Art News, making it a learning experience and informational experience for that matter for all, as we discussed.
Thank you, Rick. I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you, sir, once again. Thank you, JCTV producer Gloria Enlow and crew, and thank you, our viewers, for watching. Look for more Mid-Missouri Art News right here at JCTV, and don't forget YouTube. I'm Rick Jey saying, see you next time.